Some women bring light the moment they walk into a room. Others, well, the light returns the moment they walk out. Now, don't get me wrong. This isn't about bitterness, and it's not about blame. It's about clarity. Because if you've lived long enough, and I know you have, you've seen it for yourself. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend, and not every hand you hold is meant to hold yours back. Life's too short to keep giving your time, energy, and hard-earned peace to women who drain you, confuse you, or leave you second-guessing yourself, especially the ones who hide behind charm, beauty, or those perfectly polished social graces. In today's video, we'll uncover 6 unmistakable signs of bad women, traits you can't afford to ignore. This isn't about judgment. It's about wisdom, about recognizing who deserves a seat at your table and who's only there to take the bread. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts." I'd add, it also depends on the company you keep. Let's sharpen that clarity together. Ready? Let's begin. 1. She's always the victim. The first sign of a bad woman is one many men overlook until it's too late. She's always the victim. And I mean always. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger at the grocery store, her best friend of 20 years, or her last 3 ex-husbands. Somehow, in every story, she's the one who got hurt, betrayed, or wronged. You sit across the table from her, listening, nodding, maybe even feeling protective at first. She's convincing. She paints vivid pictures of how unfair life has been to her, how misunderstood she is. And if you're not paying close attention, you might think maybe she just needs someone to treat her right. That's the hook. But the longer you stay, the more you realize this isn't about past wounds. This is about control. I knew a man, Tom, a good man, steady, kind. He met a woman like this after his divorce. At first, he thought she was refreshingly open. She told him everything, how her ex lied to her, how her boss held her back because he was intimidated by strong women, how her family always took her sister's side growing up. He admired her strength for getting through all that. But as the months passed, the stories never stopped, and they always followed the same script. Everyone was toxic. Every job ended unfairly. Every friendship ended in betrayal. Eventually, Tom found himself playing a role he didn't sign up for. He was either the hero, constantly reassuring her she was right, or the villain when he disagreed, or heaven forbid, suggested she take some responsibility. This is where it gets dangerous. A woman who sees herself as a perpetual victim will never take ownership of her role in anything. She will rewrite every situation to suit her version of the truth. And if you get close, you'll be dragged into that narrative, often as the next source of her suffering. You'll be the one who let her down, the one who never really understood her. It's a cycle, and it's exhausting. Stoicism teaches us that we cannot control other people. We can only control ourselves. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But the woman who clings to victimhood refuses that power. She surrenders to life's circumstances and demands everyone else bear the weight of her emotions. She will drain your energy, your patience, and if you're not careful, your peace of mind. So what do? You recognize it for what it is. You stop playing the rescuer. You don't take responsibility for someone else's wounds that they refuse to heal. You stay grounded in reason, not emotion. You offer compassion. You keep your boundaries. And if the stories never change, you step back quietly, firmly. Stoic wisdom reminds us that peace is found within, and if someone repeatedly pulls you into chaos, it's not unkind to walk away. It's wise. 2. She's addicted to drama. The second sign is one you'll feel in your gut before you see it with your eyes. She's addicted to drama. And I don't mean the occasional emotional outburst we're all guilty of now and then. I'm talking about a woman whose entire life seems like an endless stage play, one she's directing, starring in, and rewriting by the hour. If life around her gets too calm, too steady, she'll find a way to light a match and burn it down just to feel alive again. To her, peace is boring. Stability makes her restless, and without even realizing it, you'll be pulled into a cycle of conflict, confusion, and emotional chaos that never seems to end. The pattern usually starts small. Maybe one day she's upset because you were distracted while she was telling a story, or you didn't text back quickly enough, and suddenly it's proof you're pulling away. What was a quiet evening turns into an argument you didn't see coming. You spend hours trying to explain yourself, apologizing for something you don't fully understand, and by the end of it, you're the one exhausted, while she seems strangely energized. That's the thing about people who thrive on drama. It gives them a sense of control. Chaos becomes their comfort zone because it keeps them at the center of attention. The world spins around their emotions, and everyone else is left trying to keep up. From a Stoic point of view, this behavior makes perfect sense when you strip it down. Seneca once wrote, "An angry man opens his mouth and shuts his eyes," and this applies here. A person addicted to drama isn't interested in truth or resolution. She's interested in the feeling of power that comes with stirring emotions, whether her own or yours. She loses sight of reason because she's blinded by impulse and emotion. She's not looking for harmony. She's looking for stimulation. And if you happen to be the nearest source of it, you'll be caught in the crossfire. The real danger for you is how easy it is to get swept up in it. You may tell yourself that you're helping, that you're calming things down, but you're not. You're playing your part in her drama, whether you mean to or not. And over time, it chips away at your peace, your clarity, and eventually your sense of self. You become reactive, anxious, walking on eggshells, wondering what will trigger the next storm. And when a man loses his inner stillness, he loses his greatest power. The solution? Distance. Not necessarily physical at first, but emotional. Step back. Let the waves crash without jumping in to save struggle to make rent. Whether you drive a luxury car or a reliable older model, you'll sense her constant evaluation. It's not about genuine appreciation for what you have or who you are. It's about how you measure up against some invisible yardstick of societal success. This obsession with the superficial seeps into every corner of the relationship. Conversations revolve around the latest trends, the most exclusive restaurants, the people who matter, meaning those with wealth or influence. Deeper discussions about values, purpose, or your inner world often fall flat. You might find yourself downplaying your genuine interests or accomplishments if they don't fit her definition of impressive. Over time, this erodes the foundation of any real connection. You start to feel unseen, valued only for what you can offer on the surface. The energy in the relationship becomes transactional, focused on maintaining an image rather than nurturing genuine intimacy. Stoic philosophy offers a powerful antidote to this kind of superficiality. Marcus Aurelius urged us to look beyond the external. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? Similarly, the pursuit of external validation and material possessions pales in comparison to the cultivation of inner peace and virtue. A woman obsessed with the superficial is often chasing a fleeting sense of worth that can never be truly satisfied. Her happiness depends on external factors, which are by their nature unstable. The danger for you is that you might start to believe her definition of value. You might find yourself chasing things you don't truly care about, just to earn her approval. This leads you away from your own values and your own sense of what truly matters. The solution is to recognize this for what it is, a fundamental difference in values. You can't change someone's obsession with the superficial. You can only decide if you want to live in that world. A Stoic man finds his worth within. He values character, integrity, and inner peace above all else. If your partner's focus is perpetually on the external, you have to ask yourself if that aligns with your own definition of a meaningful life and a meaningful relationship. It's not about judgment. It's about recognizing where your values diverge and choosing a path that honors your own inner compass. 6. She thrives on chaos. The sixth and final sign, and perhaps the most exhausting, is this. She thrives on chaos. This isn't the occasional bad day or stressful period we all go through. This is a consistent pattern of creating, inviting, and even escalating drama and instability in her life, and, by extension, yours. You might notice it in the way she talks about her past, a never-ending series of crises, betrayals, and conflicts. Or you might see it in her present, a constant whirlwind of arguments with friends, family, or colleagues. There's always something brewing, some fire to put out, and she's invariably at the center of it. At first, you might be drawn to her energy, mistaking the chaos for passion or excitement. You might see yourself as the calm in her storm, the steady hand that can bring order to her life. But over time, you'll realize that the storm is her natural habitat. She doesn't want calm. She thrives on the adrenaline, the attention, and the sense of importance that comes with perpetual crisis. You'll find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, never knowing what will set off the next explosion. Your own peace of mind becomes collateral damage in her ongoing drama. You might try to offer solutions, to bring stability, but your efforts will likely be met with resistance or even resentment. Because for someone who thrives on chaos, stability feels boring, even threatening. It deprives her of the emotional intensity she craves. Stoicism teaches us the value of inner peace and tranquility. Seneca wrote, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." But kindness requires a degree of inner calm. A person constantly surrounded by and generating chaos has little capacity for genuine kindness or connection. Their energy is consumed by the drama itself. The danger for you is that you'll get sucked into this vortex of instability. You'll become reactive, anxious, and constantly on edge. Your own goals and priorities will take a back seat to managing her latest crisis. You'll lose your focus and your inner stillness. The solution, as with the woman addicted to drama, is distance. You cannot calm a storm by stepping into the eye of it. You can only protect yourself from its destructive force. Recognize that her need for chaos is not something you can fix. It's a fundamental aspect of her personality. And if it consistently disrupts your peace and well-being, you have a responsibility to yourself to step away. Not with anger or blame, but with a clear understanding that you deserve a life lived with greater tranquility and stability. A Stoic man cultivates inner peace and protects it fiercely. He chooses his environment wisely and doesn't willingly subject himself to unnecessary turmoil. 7. Whether you drive a reliable truck or a luxury car, it's never enough because someone else always has more, and she's always looking for the next rung to climb. The Stoics warned us about this kind of thinking over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. And yet, a woman who is obsessed with status and appearance is never content. No matter what she gets, it's not satisfaction she feels. It's a momentary high followed by the emptiness of wanting more. It's like trying to fill a broken jar. Everything you pour in leaks right back out. She's caught in the cycle of chasing externals, and if you tie yourself to her, you'll be dragged along for the ride. But here's the truth that Stoicism teaches us. Externals are indifferent. Marcus Aurelius called them things indifferent, meaning they don't add or subtract anything to who you are as a human being. Character is what matters, virtue, how you live your life, and what you stand for. A woman who can't see past the surface will never recognize that in you, no matter how deeply you live by those principles. Seneca said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor." The woman obsessed with superficial things is the poorest kind of companion because she will never know contentment, and she will never offer peace. And peace, my friend, is what a Stoic man guards above all else. If you find yourself with someone like this, someone who cares more about how things look than how things truly are, understand this. You will lose yourself if you try to keep up. Your energy, your dignity, your peace. It will be spent chasing shadows. The solution is simple, though not always easy. Walk away. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Because a man who values his peace knows when to leave a shallow life behind. 6. She can't admit she's wrong. The sixth sign is one that reveals itself in those small moments of disagreement that turn into something much bigger than they should be. She can't admit she's wrong. Not ever. You could lay out every fact, explain your side with calm reason, even show proof so obvious a child would understand it, and still she'll twist the story to make herself right. And if she can't win on facts, she'll shift the ground beneath your feet. Suddenly, it's no longer about the disagreement at hand, but about how you're making her feel, or how you're attacking her character, or how you always do this. The original point vanishes under an avalanche of emotional deflection. At first, you may think it's just pride, or maybe she's having a bad day. But over time, you realize it's not just occasional stubbornness, it's a pattern. She cannot own her mistakes, no matter how small. She will defend a bad decision, a hurtful comment, or an obvious oversight until the very end. Because in her mind, being wrong equals being weak, and weakness to her is unacceptable. The problem is deeper than mere pride. Psychologically, people who refuse to admit fault often do so because their sense of self is fragile. Accepting blame feels like a threat to their identity, so they fight to protect it at all costs. But when someone makes being right the goal in every interaction, they sacrifice something far more valuable: growth, connection, and trust. Because a person who cannot acknowledge fault cannot learn, and a person who cannot learn cannot grow. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If anyone can refute me, show me I'm making a mistake or looking at things from the wrong perspective, I'll gladly change." It's the truth I'm after. That's the mark of real wisdom. The ability to welcome correction as an opportunity, not an attack. When you find someone who rejects that principle, you'll find yourself in a relationship where your perspective is always under suspicion, and the weight of being the reasonable one always falls on your shoulders. That burden is exhausting, and it's lonely. A relationship like this becomes less about connection and more about control. And the irony is, by refusing to admit fault, she loses the very thing Stoics believe gives life its purpose: the pursuit of truth. If she can't say the simple words, "I was wrong," she's not just protecting her pride. She's walling herself off from growth, understanding, and ultimately from love itself. For a Stoic man, this is where clarity becomes essential. You must choose humility and truth in your own life, and you must choose a partner who does the same. Not because she's perfect, but because she's willing to be imperfect and brave enough to admit it. Without that humility, there's no partnership, only competition. And life is too short to spend it keeping score. Seneca said, "Only time can heal what reason cannot." But in a relationship where reason is never allowed a seat at the table, time only makes things worse. The solution? Seek someone who knows that saying, "I was wrong," isn't a weakness, but one of the highest forms of strength. And if she can't offer that, then in truth, it's time to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of respect for yourself and for the life of wisdom and peace you're building. 7. She disrespects your time. If life has taught us anything by this age, it's that time is the one currency we never get back. Money, you can earn it. Health, you can fight for it. But time, once it's spent, it's gone. That's why a woman who disrespects your time isn't just careless. She's dangerous to your peace of mind. And if you're not careful, she'll steal years from you in small, silent ways that you won't even notice until it's too late. I remember a man named Richard I used to work with in Houston, a successful contractor in his mid-50s, one of those men who had built everything he had from the ground up. Sharp, disciplined, respected. But in his personal life was another story. Richard had started seeing a woman named Elise, and at first she was charming. She had the looks, the warmth, and she knew how to make a man feel wanted. But there was a pattern. She was always late. 20 minutes, then 40. She'd cancel plans last minute because she wasn't feeling up to it, or something important came up. Sometimes she'd simply forget altogether. Richard, being the patient man he was, let it slide. At first, he figured it was just life. Things get busy. We all know how that is. But weeks turned into months. Richard found himself shifting his work schedule to fit hers. He waited in restaurants alone. He delayed trips and canceled fishing weekends with old friends because Elise said she really wanted to see him that day, only to bail without a second thought. I'll never forget sitting across from him one afternoon, watching him stare at his phone after she'd stood him up again. He just shook his head and said, "Man, I feel like I'm always waiting." That's what happens when someone disrespects your time. They keep you waiting, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. And if you're not careful, they'll make you believe it's normal, that you need to be more understanding, that this is just how things are now. But a Stoic man knows better. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." And that's the truth Richard came to realize. Elise wasn't busy. She wasn't forgetful. She simply didn't value his time because she didn't value him. And he had allowed it by not valuing his own time first. The solution isn't confrontation or ultimatums. It's clarity. Respect your own time as fiercely as you respect your life, because they are one and the same. A woman who honors you will honor your time. She will show up when she says she will. She will treat your minutes as something sacred, because they are. Epictetus asked, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" Richard stopped waiting, and so should you. Time wasted is life wasted. Spend yours where it's valued. I would love to hear about your journey and triumphs. Please hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below to share your story, your successes, and even the challenges you've overcome. If you're not sure what to comment, just write, "I love this," to show that you've completed this session. Your engagement helps this community grow toward wisdom and the art of turning every challenge into an opportunity. I'll leave 2 more videos here so you can continue learning and growing on your personal development journey. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.